Hello everyone and welcome to my Cyber Dragon deck profile. This is a going first build, and in my opinion, this is the most competitive way to play the deck. Keep in mind that this deck is complicated and it does have a high skill ceiling. Now I want to start with some of the short names that I'll be using. So I'll be referring to Cyber Jormungandr as Jorm. I'll be referring to Clockwork Knight, the spell card, as Clockwork. Clockwork Knight, the link one, as Knight. And Heos, the Mechanical Dawn, as Heos. Alright, with that said, let's get right into it. So starting with core, it has three effects. The first one is a continuous effect. Its name becomes Cyber Dragon while face up on the field or in the graveyard. This is an effect that is shared by multiple monsters, and it's very important. The name Cyber Dragon in this deck is significant, and it does have multiple uses. Core has two other effects, but you can only use one of them per turn. If it's normal summoned, you add one cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Now, this effect is mandatory, and it's only on normal summon. The other effect, if only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one Cyber Dragon monster from your deck. Now, this effect is situational. Sometimes it comes up in the grind game, but for the most part, we'll be using the first effect, the Surge effect. So, because core has the powerful effect of searching any cyber or spell or trap, this makes core a disruption magnet. Most of the time, your opponent is going to try to interact with it, so be mindful of that. But core is one of our starters, and because of that, we play it at 3. Moving on to Herz. It has 3 effects. The first one is the name change, and the 2 other effects, you can only use one of them per turn. If it's special summoned, you can make its level become 5 until the end of this turn, and then you're locked into machines. Now, this effect is something that rarely comes up, but it is important to keep it in mind for these rare scenarios where you need to use it. But mostly we'll be using the other effect. If it's sent to the graveyard from anywhere, you can add one other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So this effect adds specifically Cyber Dragon. So from the deck, you can only add OG. And from the graveyard, you'll probably have multiple targets for it. This effect does not target. So Herz is a card that we do not want to draw. This is a bad draw because it doesn't do anything in our hand. The way we use it is by sending it from the deck when we need to. So this is a utility card. It's not a starter, so because of that, we just need one. Most of the time, we'll be trying to recycle one of our monsters, so it's pretty good for that. Moving on to Nachster. It has 3 effects. The first one is the name change, and it has 2 other effects, and you can use both on the same turn. You can discard one other monster, special summon it from your hand. If it's normal or special summoned, you can revive a machine with 2100 attack or defense. Then it locks you into machines. So Nachster is an extender. It's a pretty good one. And it has multiple targets to revive. But because it's just an extender, we only need one. Moving on to OG. So this is the only monster in the entire deck that is always treated as Cyber Dragon. Its effect, if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. This effect is not once per turn, so if they bounce it, you can summon it again. Also, this effect does not start a chain, so do keep that in mind. Now, we do not want to draw this card, because going second, we usually want to summon Jorm, and Jorm will summon this from the deck. This needs to be in the deck for Jorm to be able to use its effect. And going first, this card doesn't do anything. So we do not want to draw this card. It's just a utility card that we have multiple ways to search it if we need to, and we have multiple ways to utilize it. But because it doesn't do anything on its own, we just play one. Moving on to Jorm. So this is a cyber monster, right? It's not a cyber dragon monster, and it doesn't have the name change. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by a card effect. This is important because this is what makes it searchable by emergency. Now Jorm has two effects. The first one, if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, then take one Cyber Dragon from your deck and either special summon it or equip it to this card. Then it locks you into machines. So this is a good effect going second, but going first, it's mostly dead. The only thing here to be aware of is that it summons Cyber Dragon from the deck. So if we just happen to draw Cyber Dragon, well, we cannot use it anymore. So this is, I'm not sure why they made it like that. This part here should have said at least from the hand or deck. But it is what it is, so we gotta be aware of that. The second effect, you can return one Cyber Dragon you control to the hand, add one poly from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This effect is pretty good. It's a utility type of effect where you can use it going first or going second. Now going first, we'll summon Heos with poly. Going second, it depends. But it's a pretty decent effect. So this card is basically just an extender. It doesn't do anything on its own. Like going second, yes, you can get to infinity, but that's about it. So because of that, we do not want to draw this card in general. We are trying to go first. Going second, getting to this card is pretty good. But going first, we do not want to see this card. So because it's just an extender, we only play one. Moving on to Wurm. This is a cyber dark monster. It has two effects. The first one is a name change, which is really good here. This is a cyber dark monster that can become Cyber Dragon. The second effect, you can special summon Wurm from your hand or graveyard if you have another machine cyber monster on the field or in your graveyard. On your field or in your graveyard. You can do that by sending one Cyber Dragon monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and this sends for cost, so this cannot be ashed. So you special summon Wurm, and then you can add one cyber spell or trap from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a powerful effect. Now, it is once per duel, and I'm not sure why this should have been once per turn, because this card is not a starter. This is not circular, this is not Habakiri. But even if this was once per turn, the only thing that this does is that it gives us a little bit of a better grind game. That's it. Because again, this card is not a starter. So this card is very good, and this is basically the link between Cyber Darks and Cyber Dragon. We usually put this card in the graveyard with Chimera, but there are a lot of things, a lot of ways to get to this card. But one of the common plays is getting to this card through Chimera. So Chimera is a Cyber Dark monster. It has two effects. So the first one, you would discard one spell or trap, and then add one power bond from your deck to your hand. Then for the rest of the turn, you can only use dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion materials. Also, when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material. So this searches power bond, and then you're locked into dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion material. This means you can't use Chimera's effect first and then try to go Clockwork and contact fuse the board. So be aware of it. And the effect here to banish from the graveyard is very good. Now the second effect, if it's sent to the graveyard, you can send one Cyber Dark monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different name from the cards in your graveyard. So this is how we send Wurm. So this card is pretty important. It can be a starter in the sense that if you have this plus any spell or trap, you can set up 2 to 3 disruptions. However, we do not want to waste the normal summon on this because we can normal summon it with Realm. So we're not trying to make this a starter because we have ways to get into it, and we can normal summon it with Realm. So this is more like something we use in our combo, but we're not treating this as a true starter. So because of that, we're playing one, and also playing one Wurm. Okay, moving on to Claw. So this is a Cyber Dark monster. Notice how this is a dragon. This is not a machine. Also, this has 1600 attack. This is the highest attack of all of our normal summons. Now it has 3 effects, but we're only concerned about one. This part here. You can discard this card, add one Cyber Dark spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This searches Realm and Horizon. So this searches our starters, and because of that, we played a 3. Moving on to Regulus. 2 effects. You target one machine monster in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, equip that monster to this card. And the second effect, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can send Regulus to the graveyard, negate that effect. So Regulus is searchable with Clockwork's effect, and it's another Omni negate that we can put on the field. So this is pretty good, and it can also help protect us from hand traps. We just need one because it doesn't do anything on its own. It's just something we search, and it's another endboard piece. That's it. Moving on to Emergency. So this is one of our searchers. It adds one light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. So this can add Jorm or one Cyber Dragon monster. So it can add any Cyber Dragon monster, and because it can add core, this makes it one of our starters. Now it has a second effect. If the activation was negated and then this was sent to the graveyard, you can discard one card, add this card to your hand. So the activation needs to be negated, right? So if they ash it, this doesn't work, and it needs to be sent to the graveyard. So if that happens, you can discard one card, add it, and then activate it again. This is something that comes up sometimes, but most of the time it won't. So because Emergency is one of our starters, because it can search core, we play 3. Moving on to Realm. So this is a continuous spell. It has 3 effects, but we're only concerned about the first 2. On activation, you add 1 Cyber Dark monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from the cards in your graveyard. Pay attention to this part, a different name from the cards in your graveyard. So if you have a claw already there, you cannot add another claw. This is pretty good. Usually you're trying to add Chimera, but it depends on the situation. So the part here, because we can add Chimera, this makes Realm one of our 1-card starters. Because we can add Chimera, and then the second part says during your main phase you can normal summon 1 Cyber Dark monster. So this gives us the free normal summon of Chimera, and that sets up our combo. So yeah, because if it's one of our starters, we play 3. Moving on to the best spell card in the deck. Cybernetic Horizon. This card is broken. Now, a lot of people don't understand how powerful this card is. So let's break it down. So it's always treated as a Cyber Dark card. This makes it searchable by Claw. Now it has 1 effect, but it's more like 3 separate effects. So let's start with the first one. You send 2 dragon and or machine cyber monsters with different attributes to the graveyard, 1 each from your hand and deck. So let's stop here. This part here is for cost. So the reason why it says dragon and or machine is because there are other cyber monsters in the game, like the cyber angels. Right? So this part here is just so that just you can use it in the Cyber Dragon or Cyber Dark deck. So for the purpose of our deck, it's just cyber monsters. So we're sending 2 cyber monsters with different attributes. So if you send a light from your hand, you have to send a dark from your deck, and vice versa. Now, a lot of people would look at this and say, this is bad because we're going minus in card advantage. Right, so we're using 2 cards from our hand to search 1 card. And if they like negate this here, we just lost 2 cards from our hand. So losing cards from our hand is something that you do want to be aware of, but the correct way of looking at this is that what we're doing here is a double Foolish Burial that cannot be negated. So this is something that cannot be negated because it's sent for cost. And Foolish Burial sends 1 monster from the deck to the graveyard. It's a broken card. This let us send from the deck and hand. Now, one of the issues, if you will, of Foolish Burial is that you cannot send from the hand. So if you draw the card that you are trying to send from the deck, and now you can't send it. Now, usually decks that play Foolish Burial, they do have multiple targets for it, but sometimes that could happen. This card allows you to send from the hand as well. So, again, the way you should be looking at this, it's a double Foolish Burial, including from hand, that cannot be negated. Even if they negate this, so yeah, that does hurt. We don't get the rest of the card, but we're still sending to the graveyard. We can still set up some plays. And this deck can play from the hand, deck, graveyard, or banishment. It can play from everywhere. Right, so it's not like they negate it and then that's it, we just went minus. That's the end of the story. No, we can still make plays. So do remember that. Now, we continue with the effect. You add 1 cyber monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send one machine cyber fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. So the adding part here makes this card a Rhoda, right? This is Rhoda for all of our monsters. This is the only card in the entire deck that can directly search any of our monsters. This is so good. This is the best Rhoda in the deck. And then you're sending a monster, a machine cyber fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. Now, there's a card in the game by the name Extra Foolish Burial. Now, this card doesn't see that much play because it has a heavy restriction on it. So, not only you're paying half of your life points, but you cannot set spells or traps during the turn you activate this card. So why? Because it has a broken effect. You send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. This is broken. And Horizon lets us do that for free. So this card has 3 broken effects packaged into one. All of this is at the cost of locking you into machines for the entire turn. Here's the thing. We're playing a machine-based deck. Getting locked into machines here does not matter. Does not matter. So the card that we'll be sending from the extra deck is Eternity. And what does this card do? We're just going to read the last part here. You can banish this card from your graveyard. This turn, your opponent cannot target fusion monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Now, one of the complaints that I constantly hear is that we do not have a spell that protects us the way Tenpai have their Sengen Summoning, the way Ancient Gear has Ancient Gear Fortress. Well, guess what? We have Eternity. And in a lot of ways, Eternity is better than those cards. So, let's say you're playing against Rise Mitsurugi. They have Detonator on board. They have Murakumo. They have Prayers. If you're playing one of those decks and you're trying to go Sengen Summoning, you're trying to go Ancient Gear Fortress, they can just pop it with Detonator. Now, Eternity, once you use Horizon, you activate it from the graveyard. They have to go cross-negated. They have to. Otherwise, there is nothing they can do for the rest of the turn. Detonator can't do anything. Murakumo can't do anything. What are they going to do? Right, this is a lingering effect for the rest of the turn. So, this effect is very powerful. This lets us push through boards. Most decks have effects that target or destroy. This protects us. It's so good. So back to Horizon. So again, this card has 3 broken effects packaged into one. This card, like, you cannot just look at this card and look at these effects and say this card is bad. How? It's a broken card. So again, even if they do negate it, that does hurt, but you still send stuff. You can still make plays. So this card is very important in this deck. You do need to play it. You do want to see it. Saying something like, okay, I'll just play one and then I can search it with Claw or Core, that's not good enough. You always want access to Horizon. Going first or going second. Going first, this card is a starter, right? Or an extender. Going second is the same thing. And also going second, it helps you push through boards. It enables OTKs. This card is very powerful. You do want to see it in your hand. And this is why I play 3. Moving on to Cyberload. So this is a quick play spell card, and this is an important piece of our combos. You do need it for almost, not every single combo, but I would say most of them. This card is also our way of recycling monsters, right? So it shuffles from the field or face up banished. This is very important that we recycle our monsters. With this deck, you use most of your resources on turn 1. So we do need to recycle stuff. We do need to have that grind game. So Cyberload gives us grind game. Now do remember that monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of the turn except that fusion summon monster. Always keep that in mind. But this card is very much needed. We have to play it. But because it doesn't do anything on its own, we just play it at 1. Moving on to Overflow. So this card has 2 effects. The first one, you banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face-up field, or graveyard. Then you non-target pop cards your opponent controls. This is a very powerful effect. The second one, if this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, add 1 cyber spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So if this card on the field gets popped, it becomes core. This is so good. This is another searcher. Now, if you think about the boards that this deck makes, so the 1-card combos, they make like 4 disruptions. This is good, but this is not an unbreakable board. So if you add Overflow on top, this becomes a really hard board to crack. So this card does a few things. 1, it allows us to set up disruptions under floodgates, under Droll, under Fua. And 2, we can pop this, right? We're not waiting for our opponent to pop it. We pop it on our own with Rampage. And we search. There are combo lines with this card that enable you to end on bigger boards. So we do need to play this card. This is not something you side for going first. You have to main this. It is so good. So because this card doesn't do anything on its own, we just need 1. But it is a very important piece in the deck. Okay, so now we go to Clockwork. So Clockwork has 3 effects. First one, it makes everything machine. And the second one, our machines gain 500 and our opponent's machine lose 500. And the third effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then discard 1 card, add 1 earth machine. Right, we're adding Regulus here. This is the effect that we will be using most of the time to add Regulus. Sometimes going second, you do need to make everything machine and contact freeze the board. So it depends. But going first, almost all the time we're going for Regulus. This card is very good, but it's not a starter. It doesn't do anything on its own, so we just play it at 1. It's easily searched, so we just need 1. Moving on to Poly. So this is, of course, searchable by Jorm. Now, I've seen some people play Fusion Substitute, and I am very confused on that card. Like, Fusion Substitute in this deck just doesn't work. You do need to use monsters from your hand to fuse. And there are lines where you have to. Like, there is no other way around it. Some other lines, if you're going to combo optimally, you will need to use monsters from the hand. Right? So optimally is a key word here. We need to play around hand traps. We need to give ourselves follow-up. Fusion substitute definitely does not work in this deck. You do want poly. So yeah, we just need one because, you know, we're just searching this with Jorm. We do not want to draw poly at all. This is similar to the next card that I'll be talking about, Power Bond. So we all know what Power Bond does from the anime. The first thing that you want to keep in mind is the damage that you take at the end of the turn because of time rules. So always remember that. This card is something that we need, and it's not something that we want to draw. Now, some people think if we draw Power Bond, then we cannot combo. That is not true. You can combo with Power Bond in hand. You just need to know the lines. Still though, drawing Power Bond is not good. We do not want to see this card in our hand at all. So, if you're playing one copy in a 40 card deck, we are expected to see this card once every 8 games. So, in that game, a lot of things could happen. Right, so for one, like I said, you can combo with Power Bond and you can set up a decent board. But maybe in that game, you know, you're going second. And going second, this is definitely more useful than going first. Sometimes this can be good, even like, let's say under draw, and you have like 2 Cyber Dragons in 2 Cyber Dragon monsters, you know, in your hand. So, you know, maybe you're going second, maybe you used a lot of hand traps to stop your opponent, or maybe they set up an unbreakable board and there was nothing you can do. Maybe they, you know, FTK'd you, maybe a lot of things could be happening, right? So, again, this card is something that we're going to see on average once every 8 games in a 40 card deck. So it's something that we have to settle for. So why is that? Now let's say you play 2. Some people think that is a solution, playing 2 Power Bonds. That is not true. That is not good. Playing 2 Power Bonds means that you're going to see this card now instead of once every 8 games, you're going to see it once every 4 games. And this card is a brick on its own, right? We're just talking here about the card value on its own. We're not talking about the combo and like discarding it and searching the other Power Bond. This card is a brick. Seeing this every 4 games is really bad. This means that you're playing with 1 less card in your hand every 4 games. For this card to be useful, you need to have 2 other Cyber Dragons. So 2 other Cyber Dragon monsters in your hand, and then you can go into like Rampage. Okay, so now you used 3 cards to get into 1. You just went -2 in card advantage for no reason. Like, this card is not good. You do not want to see this card. So, again, drawing the 2 Power Bonds, this is not a real solution. Just play 1. Like I said, you know, learn the lines, make sure you know them, and again, we just have to settle for this one time when we draw Power Bond out of 8. It's something that we have to accept. There is no work around this card. You cannot play 2 and just say, you know, you're just gonna break on this every 4 games and you're gonna take that. That doesn't work. Okay. So now we go into the Holy Trinity. These 3 cards are mandatory, right? These are the best cards going first. You do need them, right? To stop draw, stop other hand traps. These are game-winning cards. We gotta play them. Moving on to Ash. So Ash is needed to stop the Mulcharmies. That's it. Moving on to Imperm. So Imperm did lose some value in the sense that nowadays a lot of decks can play around 1 Imperm. Like 1 Imperm is not going to do much. But Imperm still has a lot of things going for it. So one aspect of it is that what happens when you draw the hand trap in question here as your 6th card, right? You know, if you draw a Droll, if you draw Ash, if you draw whatever, Imperm is like the best one to draw here. It is so good. It stops Detonator, it stops Caesar, it stops IP. So good. Very flexible card. And Imperm does not trigger talent, which is great. Like sometimes you go Droll and they go talent, and you could very well just lose the game off of that one talent. Like talent, even though it's at 1, everybody is playing it, and it's such a broken card. Like talent going first is broken. So Imperm plays around that. And if you draw 2 Imperms, you can use both. I like Imperm a lot, especially in this deck. And I do like it as a board breaker. So I think if we're going to play 3 hand traps here, Imperm is the best one. Moving on to Fua. This is probably the best hand trap in the game. But we do not want to draw this going first, and you know, we do not want to see 2 in our hand. So this is why we play 2. And also the 2 Drolls. So Droll is kind of in the same situation that I do not want to see 2 Drolls in my hand. This card is good against certain matchups and bad against others. Sometimes they set up like half a board under Droll, and that doesn't feel that good. So I think 2 is a good ratio here. 2 Drolls, 2 Fuas. And these are also cross-out targets. Now, this deck does not have a high amount of hand traps, but it is still decent. Like 10 hand traps is still fine. Now, one of the ratios that I tried for quite some time was 42 cards, and I was playing in that a 3rd Fua and a 3rd Droll. That was not good. So yes, I would see hand traps more often, but I was also breaking on them. So when I say I'm breaking on them, that's in the sense that like I would draw like 1 starter like Core, and then they would go like Ash it, Imperm it, whatever, and then that's it. That's my turn. Or I go something like Droll, they pass, and I go Core, you know, they stop it with a hand trap, Ash, let's say, then, you know, I pass turn, and now I'm done. I'm dead, right? I prefer in this deck, and I think this is the best approach to be able to play the game, to be able to break boards, right? Like even if they're like, I don't want to draw way too many hand traps. I'd rather draw too many engine, if that makes sense, than too many hand traps. Like I do want to play this game. I do want to play the game with this deck, and this deck can break boards, right? So I do prefer that over just like opening too many hand traps and breaking on them, or drawing like Droll in matchups where it doesn't do much, or drawing like Fua in matchups in like when you're going first. So yeah, I don't think this deck can handle too many hand traps, unless, you know, we're talking like post side. Like post side, yes, you know, we gotta play more hand traps. But that's it for the main. So let's go to the extra deck, starting with Knight. So the first thing to note here is the arrow to the left. So this means that we, in order to summon another Knight, we have to get rid of the first one, right? So keep that in mind. Sometimes you get disrupted and you do need to summon another Knight. So, but you got to get rid of the first one first. So here are the requirements: 1 non-link machine monster with 1,000 or less original attack. So the machine, it does not have to be originally machine. So if you have Clockwork and you have something like Ash, that becomes a machine, you can link it for Knight. And then 1,000 or less original attack. Original attack. So if it's Jorm and you have Clockwork, becomes 1,500, that's fine. You can still summon Knight. Now, Knight has 2 effects. The first one, if it's link summoned, you can send 1 face-up continuous spell you control to the graveyard, add 1 Clockwork from your deck to your hand. Right, so this is how we get to Clockwork, which is great. The second effect, You can target one machine monster with 1,000 or less attack in your graveyard, tribute one machine monster except this card, and if you do, special summon that targeted monster in defense position. So a couple things here. It summons it in defense. It has to be 1,000 or less attack. And it can tribute a face down monster. And also, let's say they do bestial the targeted monster. What happens then? So the bestial is going to banish that monster. And then it's going to summon itself. And then Knight is going to tribute the machine. And then it's going to look for that monster and it's not there. So too bad. You still have to tribute that machine if that happens. So it's kind of unfortunate interaction here, the way they have it set up, but be aware of that. So Knight is very important in the deck, and we do need to play two. Sometimes they imperm the first one and you need access to the second one. Right, like the revive effect is very important. It's, you use that all the time. So sometimes you need it going first, sometimes going second, and sometimes in the grind game. Right, you do need to. Moving on to SP. This card is needed in certain lines, and that's about it. That is the only reason we play this card. Remember that you cannot summon SP and Horizon at the same time. At the same turn. So maybe sometimes like you summon SP and then you forget, and then you're trying to go Horizon and you can't activate it. Right, so do be aware of that. Most of the time, we would rather use Horizon over SP, but not every time. Right, so use your best judgment. Moving on to Seeger. So a lot of people, when they look at this card, they think about the attack boost, and that is important, yes. But this card is not just for that. This is more of a utility card. So the name Cyber Dragon here, right? This is a Cyber Dragon monster because of the name, and it has the name change. So it becomes Cyber Dragon while on the field or graveyard. So this is great. The requirements are 2 machine monsters, including Cyber Dragon. Also notice here the arrows, right? So it has an arrow pointing down. So this means you can summon Seeger and then you can summon Knight under it, which is great. That does come up. Now the attack boost, in the battle phase you can activate it, and then you can boost a machine monster you control with 2100 or more attack. Against 2100 attack and defense. Also, neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this monster. So they're talking about Seeger here. So this can be activated, of course, in the damage step. Pretty good effect. Again, this card is a situational card in the deck. It's something that sometimes we need, sometimes we don't. So because of that, we just need one. But it is important enough to play it. Okay, moving on to Nova. So this is one of our best monsters. Nova is a beast. It's a rank 5, requires 2 level 5 machine monsters. It has 3 effects. The first one, you can detach 1 material from this card, then you revive 1 Cyber Dragon. Pretty good effect. The second one, once per turn, quick effect, you can banish 1 Cyber Dragon from your hand or face up from your monster zone. This card gains 2100 attack until the end of this turn. This effect is very important. A lot of people kind of ignore this effect. You got to pay attention to this one, where you can use it and where it's useful, right? This effect can help you OTK in scenarios where you don't have access to Rampage. Maybe they use Dimensional Barrier. Maybe you are under draw. This card can help you OTK. This effect is very good. So this plus, like OG is Rampage, right? This plus OG is Rampage. So do remember that this card can OTK. And this is a quick effect at any point, right? So maybe sometimes, let's say you revive Nachster, and then Nachster uses its effect to revive Rampage, and they decide to go and imperm Nachster then. You can just go banish Nachster and dodge, right? It has like some applications like that, because it's a quick effect. So yeah, this effect is very important, so always keep it in mind. The third effect, if this card in your position is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one machine fusion monster from your extra deck. So, in your possession means if they solemn this, it still activates. If they send it from the extra deck directly to the graveyard, it still activates. And you special summon one machine fusion monster, right? So you can special summon Rampage, Heos, or Eternity. So it depends on the situation. But this effect is what lets us play through disruptions, right? Usually they are trying to stop Nova because they don't want us to get into Infinity. And this is how we can continue playing. So Nova is a very good card. We're just playing one because we just don't have the space to play more than one. And this card, it's not like we need to play more than one. Like one is enough, but we prefer to have more than one, right? But we just don't have that luxury, so we just have to settle for one. Moving on to Infinity. So this is, of course, the boss monster of the deck. This is my personal favorite card in the entire game. I love everything about this card, from the artwork to the effects. Just a very well designed card. So it's rank 6. It has the silly requirements 3 level 6 light machines. We're not using that. For effects, once per turn you can also exceed summon Infinity using Nova you control as material. So this is how we summon it. It gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. So you want to try and get it to 2700 as often as possible, because this helps you protect it from something like Geshtera Unicorn or Abyssal to crash into it. So that can be good. And then once per turn you can target one face-up attack position monster on the field, attach it to this card as material. So this is a very powerful effect. The monster basically goes to a black hole. It doesn't count as leaving the field. And when it goes to the graveyard later, it doesn't count as went from the field to the graveyard. So very powerful effect here. And this is a soft once per turn. So if you attach a monster and then let's say you get rid of Nova and then you revive it again with Nachster, you can attach again. Right, so this is really good. The last effect is the Omni Negate, of course. You need to have materials on Infinity to be able to negate, but it's a soft once per turn also, so you can negate and then revive it again, attach again, and if they activate anything else on the same turn, you can negate it. So yeah, that's Infinity. Very powerful card. Similar to Nova, we cannot afford to play more than one, so we just have to settle for one. Moving on to Vimana. So this is the best rank 5 we can play here, and we do need it because of some lines like Horizon. So this is good because it's a machine, and it has 2 effects. So the first one is like a battle protection type of effect. So you're targeting one face-up monster on the field and then one Xyz monster in the graveyard, right? So usually this is going to be targeting Nova. So let's say on the field you target Infinity, right? So you target Nova in the graveyard, and then Nova gets attached to Vimana, and Infinity gains half the attack of Nova for the rest of the turn, right? So this helps you protect Infinity, right, from battle if you need to. So sometimes it does come up. The battle protection is good, but the main effect of this card is that when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card and negate the activation. So it's a monster negate. It's great. It comes up in like especially in lines with Horizon. So we do need Vimana. Moving on to Zeus. This is a card we absolutely need. There are situations where you simply cannot OTK, like you simply cannot push through boards. You have to go Zeus, board wipe. And we play because we can get it to 5 materials with Infinity, right? So we can get 2 board wipes. It's very good. We do need it. Sometimes, again, the only play that we have is Zeus. Under Droll, maybe they have too many disruptions. We do need Zeus. Moving on to Rampage. So this is a broken card. Rampage is the GOAT. So if Horizon is the best spell card we have, Rampage is the best monster. So this is a level 5, 2100 attack. So level 5 means you can use it for your Xyz. 2100 attack means you can revive a Nachster. And you can also boost it with Seeger. So the fusion materials, 2 or more Cyber Dragon monsters, right? Doesn't have to be Cyber Dragon monsters. So this is good, and it's 2 or more. This is relevant because of one of its effects, but also because of Cyberload. So let's say you're playing against Malice, they go White Binder, they banish 3 of your Cyber Dragon monsters. Okay, cool. I'm just going to go Cyberload and recycle all of them back. This is great. Now, a fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials. This is unfortunate. Otherwise, we could summon this card using instant fusion, and this card is legal in the TCG for some reason, and this card is broken. That would have been a 1-card combo. So yeah, but we can't do that because of that restriction. So moving on to the effects. So Rampage has 2 effects. The first one, when it's fusion summoned, you can target spells or traps on the field up to the number of materials used for its fusion summon, destroy them. It can be from either field, and you can use it every time Rampage is fusion summoned. This is great. This makes Rampage a board breaker. Not only that, but you can also pop your own spells and traps. You can pop Overflow, you can pop Clockwork. This is so good. The second effect, once per turn, so this is once per copy, you can send up to 2 Light Machine monsters from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, for each monster sent to the graveyard, this card gains 1 additional attack during each battle phase this turn. This is so good. We just have built-in Foolish Burials in this deck. So you're Foolishing 2, and then Rampage can attack up to 3 times, and these attacks do not have to be on monsters. This is so good. So Rampage on summon, when you fusion summon it, it's going to pop back row. It's going to send stuff to the graveyard so that you can extend your plays. And then it can OTK. Look, this card is very powerful. If you have Eternity, like if you already use Eternity's effect, you can see how much of a beast this card becomes, right? It cannot be targeted. It cannot be destroyed. Like, this card is insane. I love Rampage. This card is goated. We play 3 because... Okay, so 2 is something that we do need in our combos, and the third one does come up in the grind game. So you do not want to get into situations where you just don't have a third Rampage because you're not playing it. You do need to play 3. Like, the third one does come up enough to warrant playing a third one. Okay, so now moving on to Heos. So, take note here that it has 0 attack. Now, some people, they look at that and they think of Power Bond. Like, you know, you do not take the damage because it has 0 attack. Well, no, that doesn't matter because we're not summoning Heos with Power Bond. Normally, you summon this with Poly. The reason this is good that it has 0 attack is because you can link it off into Night. This comes up in the grind game. So keep that in mind. Now, the materials here are 2 Light Machine monsters. So this is pretty good. Now it has 2 effects. The first one, if it's fusion summoned, you can activate this effect during the standby of the next turn. Add 1 card from your graveyard to your hand with an effect that fusion summons a monster. This is great because we can add Cyberload, we can add Power Bond, we can add Poly. This generates card advantage. This gives us grind game. This is really good. Now, when your opponent activates a spell or trap, card, or effect, you can banish 1 face-up Light Machine you control or 2 Light Machine monsters from your graveyard and negate the activation. Right, so this is pretty good. It's another negate. And it can banish from the graveyard, so it can set up for Cyberload. And you can keep using this every turn, like once per turn, but you can use it on the next turn as well if you can banish stuff. So this is really good. So Heos is a very important end board piece, and we're always trying to get into it. Moving on to Fortress. So the fusion materials are Cyber Dragon plus 1 or more machine monsters. It cannot be used as fusion material. So this part here means it cannot be super polyed, which is great. So must first be special summoned from your extra deck by sending the above cards from either field to the graveyard, right? So Fortress is special summon. We do not fusion summon Fortress, right? But these materials still count as fusion materials. This is why after you use Chimera's effect, you cannot just contact fuse the board with Clockwork, because these are still treated as fusion materials, even though we're special summoning Fortress, not fusion summoning. The original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of materials used for a special summon. So notice how it says the original. So this means this, like, let's say you use 2 materials, this becomes 2,000, and now we cannot use it for Knight because this is now the original attack, unless they imperm, right? So if they imperm, now we can use it. But yeah, so this is Fortress. It's pretty good. We do not have the space to run more than one. Again, so this is similar to Nova Infinity situation. We just have to settle for one, so be careful on how you're using this card. Moving on to Megafleet, so this is similar to Fortress, but it takes 1 Cyber Dragon monster plus 1 or more monsters in the extra monster zone. So similar stuff here. The original attack becomes 1,200 times the number of materials used for a special summon. So yeah, similar to Fortress, we just play one. Moving on to Eternity. So something annoying about this card has to do with the name. So this card came out in 2018. And so I understand that Cyber Twin and Cyber End are old cards, but this one was in 2018. So at that point, Konami was aware of the significance of a Cyber Dragon monster. So, and they still chose to make this card Cyber Eternity Dragon instead of Cyber Dragon Eternity. This makes this card not be counted as a Cyber Dragon monster because it has Eternity in the middle here, right? This would have been important because this would have enabled us to use it as a fusion material for Rampage. Kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now, we're not really going to fusion summon this card unless we really have to, right? But the fusion materials are 1 Cyber Dragon monster plus 2 machine monsters. It has 3 effects. Again, the first 2 they're not going to really come up because we're not going to be fusion summoning this card. But just in case, so the first one, if you have a machine fusion monster in your graveyard, this card gains protection. It cannot be targeted and cannot be destroyed by the opponent's card effects. The second one, if this fusion summoned card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can special summon 1 Cyber Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Notice how it says fusion summon. So if you summon this with Nova, you cannot. This effect will not trigger. But of course, the reason we play this card is because of the third effect, and this is the goated effect, right? We talked about this with Horizon. This is really good. We just play one because we just want to send it with Horizon. That's it. So moving on to the side deck, starting off with the going first card. So I play Solemn Strike. I do think this is the best option here. It's the most generic one. Solemn Warning is close. But I do think Strike is the best option here. It also has the least amount of life points that we have to pay. So, which is important, in this deck to keep in mind the life points because of Power Bond. So, only costs us 1,500. I don't like the Thrust package here because we don't have the space to run it, and I'm just not the biggest fan of the Thrust stuff. I do prefer the Solemns. So yeah, 3 strikes, and then we have the Droll, of course, and then the Molcharmies, Lancia, and Nib. I'll only play 2 Meows because I don't have the space to play a third one. I do think I want 2 Nibs instead of just 1. Now, Nib is like kind of a weird card. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You can try Ghost Bill here if you want. But that's it for the side deck. And that's it for my deck list.